A good percentage of those watching this video or following it are people who either were not born in 1988 when we had MLOLONGO voting pattern, and then the rest were old enough, but they may not have been as close to the system the way I was. If you look at the Kenyan polling, Kenyan ballot paper is very expensive. It is the most expensive in the world. The reason for it being most expensive is that our politicians, especially those aligned to somebody, are very suspicious. If they don't win an election and that day it rained heavily, they would say that the gods conspired and brought rain. And if there was a lot of sunshine on that day and they did not win, they would say the gods conspired to have them lose by bringing sunshine. So our election ballot papers are so expensive with so many security features that it is quite expensive. And we employ a lot of personnel to do the election. Today's technology, if we were to use, and you know the funny thing is, the party that is so suspicious that they would even resist us having, the party that would even resist us having voting by tablets, when they had their own nomination, they used tablets. Now when they use it, it is not wrong, but when somebody else uses, it is wrong. When the MLOLONGO or Q voting started, it was a very good idea. It was a very good idea because we needed only a chief and three APs to guard the place, and the chief would require maybe 2 or 3 people to certify the number of people. And within minutes, it is already known who the winner is. The only bad thing about it is that there was no secrecy. We have instances where you don't vote for somebody, but when he wins, you go around telling him how you campaigned for him, or even you find somebody who has lost and you cheat him that you voted for him and tell him that the votes were stolen. The MLOLONGO voting was okay and it was continuing well. I would want just to emphasize that the 1988 general election happened when I was in Kiganjo attending an inspectorate course. So I was not on the field, but I was in the field when we had KANU party elections after the general election. So the whole thing was okay. The whole thing would have happened and we would even be using that democracy today. In fact, the other countries would have followed our example. But the problem came up when there was a weekly review by Hilary Ngweno, which claimed, and I did my own investigation, I did my profiling. I think weekly review was being used. You know, it was the most authoritative newspaper in Kenya. So it reached a place where when Moi wanted to do something, he would float the idea with the weekly review so that they prepare people. I strongly believe that that weekly review was lies. It had said that Kibaki was sponsoring people so that he has a majority of the MPs. Then at an appropriate time, the MPs can pass a vote of no confidence in President Moi and Kibaki as the vice president would take over. Let us look at Kibaki's, he never even financed for a beer round in an hotel. And Kibaki, there was even a time when somebody really complained on behalf of Kibaki that he's being mistreated and he's a senior politician, he's a senior citizen. And he went and visited that person and asked him, did I send you to... You get the point. So most likely that was just a propaganda aimed at giving a free hand to those people. And then, you know, things that are not pre-planned usually are done in a panic mode. So there was panic, and there was need for people who are viewed, who are deemed. You see, during Moi's time, you only needed to go and whisper. You see so and so, he is doing everything. And then that thing would be taken as bitter truth. So, district commissioners were usually the returning officers. So all of them were told to gauge people who were anti-Nyayo and make sure that they don't go through. It may have, in fact, if there are some anti-Nyayo people who are weeded in that way, it may have been up to 30%. But those who are weeded out unfairly may have contributed over 70%. That is why we lost a very we lost a very good chance of having the cheapest election. If today, you can see that that MLOLONGO, you see, Kenyans, really, we do not have political inclinations. In other countries, you may find some people who are communist, socialist, or even Democrats. But in Kenya, all political parties are social democrats. So that system of a single party system was the best, only that maybe at that top place is where we had a problem. How do we exchange the president? Because these are the two seats, the member of parliament and the councillor, we had a very good way of weeding out those people. Not known to many people, those days, the president had to submit, two papers. He had to go to his home constituency and submit to his district commissioner as a candidate for MP. He had also to go to Uhuru Park and submit to the supervisor of election his papers as the president. Now, on the presidential nomination day, the supervisor of election, he was seconded to the Attorney General's office. He would be at Uhuru Park. The president would come. He would check the president's paper. Do you have an ID? Do you have a voter's? The way they just do. Then after doing that, the president used to do that around 9 or 10. And then they would keep quiet and wait until, and also there was this thing that was called CANU, clearance form, which today has been replaced by DCI, good conduct. So the president would hand over everything and even hand over. So within those 2 hours, you are supposed to come with CANU clearance form. How you would get CANU clearance form, even in your dreams, I doubt. So it would reach noon, and then the supervisor of election would stand up and say that Moi, being the only person who has been validly been nominated, so I declare him president, elected and opposed. And then the president would give an acceptance speech thanking people for electing him and opposed, thanking them. when there was no election in the first place. Apart from that part of the presidency, I think if we went back to no party election where everybody is an independent, and then it would be better, because today's political parties are, all political parties are people's personal property. Take for example, you have a political party, it has two senators, it has two members of the National Assembly, it has 50 MCAs. Now their contribution to the parties, if you have that, you are even earning more than a governor. And you'll also notice that in Luo Nyanza, 80% of the elected leaders are either related to Raila, or if out of the 80%, if you're not related to Raila, he only needs to come to your place, and then he carries up your hand even without talking, and you'll be elected. So every end of the month, you have to budget for something to send it to Raila. Political parties today in Kenya are dormant. You will find that apart from collecting what I've just said, collecting the money for which I said, if you have 10 members of the National Assembly, 50 MCS, and 2 senators, you are very rich. You are given money that you don't have to account to anybody, and then we are not even counting the political party's money, but that one is subject to you getting a certain percentage. So you find that MLOLONGO was good, and we really needed it. It is only that it was spoiled by weekly review of Hillary Ngweno. Thank you.